Hey everyone, how's it going? So welcome to episode 2 of Reel Up My Park from scratch. We're back in Reigate Lake, and that's our super realistic park that we're trying to build in Planet Coaster using as much detail and as much realism as we possibly can. So thank you so much for your reactions to episode 1. Absolutely blown away by how it's been received. So if you want to come along from the ride, you know what to do by now. Like the video, comment, let me know what you think, subscribe, you know, all the usual YouTube stuff. I'm really glad to have you all coming along with me and for this one. And so this is what we were working on in the previous episode. We were working on this main entrance area. We also did kind of want to finish off the other areas, but we got a bit carried away, I think. So I think it was better to split it out into 2 episodes. We also had a real quick chat about car parks. We had a real chat about the facilities that we're going to be putting in and how those facilities all work and everything. And there's just some work down the bottom here that we need to do just for access points. So for the focus of this episode, I really want to get this entrance area sorted. Let's get some of the scaling done. Let's make sure that the buildings are all fit for purpose and all the right sizes and doing what we want it to do and everything. So in this episode, we still got to do the annual pass building, this toilet block building, whatever restaurant this is going to be, the gift shop that's going to be at the entrance of the park, the locker area, the guest services area, the toilet area, and also the actual administration office area. So we've got a lot to do, I think, but I think we should be all right in this one. I don't really want to touch the car parks just yet because this is going to need discussion in its own right, because we're going to be starting to talk about traffic flow and how we get cars in and out and whether you use left hand and right hand drive and everything. It's just a bigger conversation to have. So let's do a real quick tour of what we did in episode 1, just in case you're coming to us for the first time. So this is the entrance area. This is Reigate Lake, and there is no lake at the moment, but there will be when we start to move into the park and start placing rides and everything down. I haven't thought about anything to do with where things are going to go. I've got a rough idea of the rides it's going to have. It's a UK-based theme park, so we're going for that UK feel. The roller coasters won't be super massive roller coasters of the likes that you see in the US. They're going to be more well-crafted, put together, clever layout, smaller coasters that we find here in the UK. And the typical manufacturers we have here would be Gerstlauer, B&M, Intamin. We're starting to get a couple of rumblings of some S&S's coming through, and we're starting to get a couple of Mark, however you say it, coasters over here as well. So I think this is going to be one of those parks. It's going to feel quite a little bit like, or quite a lot like, Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, maybe a little more of Flamingo Land, starting to like cross the boundaries. But we're also going to be borrowing quite heavily, I think, from Heide Park in Germany as well, just for that kind of feeling of park, you know, big roller coasters, rapid expansion, and going on. So yeah, anyway, this tour. So these are the ticket offices then. So they're a mirror image of each other. There's one here and there's one over the side here. They're essentially set up the same. They've all been set up to have individual screens and individual ticket areas. They've also got super detail in the middle, so inside, should I say. And we're talking office spaces, we're talking desks, we're talking hot desking and clutter and everything that you find in a normal office here. And so each of the ticket booths have got a till, got a computer, some pigeonholes, a chair that they just don't sit on because they're the props. This has got a path that goes through to an actual staff building that's in the background, and then just in the back here we've got some office space. So this is pretty much a replica of one of the offices actually that I've seen in real life, just with slightly less clutter, slightly less paperwork and everything around. I just wanted to keep it nice and simple, nice and representative. And then we've got the like a meeting-y type area, coffee break area or whatever you want to call it. Then we've just got our guest services building. We've got some entertainers that would come up onto the roof in the morning. So there's 10 o'clock I think I've set it off at. There's a show that happens. It's a real quick show. It's a bit of fire, a bit of smoke and some glitter, confetti. And then the barriers would go up, right? So the turnstiles would then open and crowds would then start flooding in. So that's kind of what I'm trying to replicate there. Just got some queues in front of the ticket offices as well, and then inside here pretty much the same setup. Slight variation in the fact this one doesn't have many desks. It's got more storage space and everything, which is what you tend to find, but the setup is pretty much largely the same. And then I've just varied which of the points are open just to give it a bit of variation. on there. Turnstiles themselves, nice and simply set up. They're just TMTK items, a few CCTV items, a couple of beams, and everything that's going on in here. And then in the back side, we've just got some parking ticket machines over on the left hand side, and then some phone booths, and then we're starting to think about what we have in the gift shop area. So the access up to the roof, which would be through whatever this locker building is going to be, some vending machines at the front, some gift shoppy type items, and that's going to be our focus in today's episode. So that's pretty much the real quick tour. Obviously, if you want the detail and to know how this was built from scratch, then you can absolutely go and check out episode 1. That detail is all in there. So for now, I'm going to carry on building, and I will see you for the first update. Alright, so we've got one hell of a sales office that's under construction here, and I've sort of paused the build because I've got two things to show you. I've got one where I've not really done much to it, so I can show you how things are put together, and then this one which is almost the final detail. It just needs the roof adding to it. And as you can see, it's really quite detailed, and the idea of the annual pass office is you tend to find a lot of marketing and you get bombarded with so much buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me stuff, because the company has your attention at this point, right? So you're already going in to buy an annual pass, and they want to cross promote as much as they physically can whilst they've got your attention. They haven't got to try and grab it from you from the roller coaster that you're looking at, or from the shop that you're currently visiting, or from the thing that you're walking past. You are in a building, you are queuing, you are looking around, and this is the prime opportunity to do some kind of marketing to you. And so that's why these are so overbearingly full of adverts for things that the company may do, or the park may do, or for brands that the park may have, or to buy things. Like, it's an onslaught of marketing, but when it's done really well, it actually looks quite good. I mean, this looks really busy, really cluttered. It looks almost like it's a gift shop. And remember as well, this is at the very front of the park, so this is before you've even interacted with the park. And you also kind of put stuff like this here on the outside of the park, because when the park is closed, you can still open these offices. So you can still have this open. People can still come and buy merchandise from you. They can still come and buy stuff, their annual pass. They can pick it up and all of that. So this is why we've split the office really into two areas. And so the actual office itself just contains 2 queues, and that's because you've got 2 lines of tills and everything along this side. So you sort of enter in this way, round that way, or you enter in this way and round that way. And then you've just got all of your rows of actual desks itself. So each desk has got a computer, and it's also got a till. And I haven't put any cameras in here because the ones that we use in our place, they use webcams on top of the camera. Sorry, on top of the PC. So I need to see whether I can find a way of integrating this into the actual build itself. We don't actually use dedicated cameras as such, because it's all just done straight onto the PC and then it's printed. The other thing that I need is printers, but I can't seem to find them as TMTK items either, so I need to find a way of having those as well, because essentially what happens is they scan all of the information, input all of your data, and then they print your pass there and then, and the printer would either be underneath here or it would be on the side here, like your ride photos would be, and then they just hand it to you, and off you go. You're free to go. So anyway, I've also put some filing cabinets all along the back, but I haven't gone OTT with the filing cabinets. You wouldn't need too much storage space here. Just put a load of like merchandise clutter and everything on the back, and then I've just used the wood cladding wall just as decoration with this TMTK item. It's the stone panel, just to create a bit of variation with that wall space. And then I've just lined the wall with loads of videos, bombarding you with as much rubbish as you can possibly muster, as you can possibly take. And you can imagine this would be quite a loud, almost garish place. This, I don't know if this is going to load when you guys can get hold of the park. This is the winning video from the competition a couple of years ago, so I think this is in game, but I think it's in game, so I need to see if that comes through. But this would be like an advert for another park, right? So this park would be in a chain, and it would say, "Hey, we also do these fun things. Come and play at this park with your new annual pass. Come along." And then these are just all brands. And then I've also used some of the ride videos that are in game as well, just to give the impression that they're trying to advertise some kind of ride or some kind of experience or whatever. And so yeah, I like how this has turned out. Actually, it needs the roof, and I've done this like beam. I don't want it to be a girder, an iron girder. I want it to be almost like a plaster effect. And I've also put these lights in here as well. So when I put the roof on the top, the light is then cast along the top of the roof and then it casts down and it gives this really cool effect. And so I've just placed those around the pillars themselves. And the pillars, they are beams. Jeremy will be very pleased. These are beams, and they are very, very piece heavy. They're long beams, so luckily that's a help. But I think there's about 25, 30, I think, per pillar, and then you copy it down. So essentially, this one pillar would be 60 items. So we're not exactly caring for piece count at the moment, and yeah, but it looks good because these pillars aren't as thick as the other pillars that you get in game, so they're a bit more versatile. Like this one, for example, these are a bit more versatile than these pillars. So that's why I've done that. I've also lined this along here as well, just with parking tickets, just in case you've forgotten to buy your parking ticket. You can come back into the box office and you can get it. And I've also made it functional as well, so there's an ATM behind this one. And actually, whoever created these parking ticket machines did a really, really good job at lining up everything. And it looks like he's actually using the parking ticket machine. So props to you if you're the creator of this ticket machine. You've done a fantastic job at making it look like it's being used when you sync it behind. So thanks for doing such a great job. And then I've also just put the in-game posters. Again, it felt like it needed some more stuff along this side here. Out the back here, then, it is going to be an office, but I've wanted to make this space functional. I realised, and this other one as well, I realised that I'm making areas that aren't particularly functional, and it almost feels like it's a waste of space. So I have to remember back to my original principles of making it still playable. So I've put the staff unit here and I've put the ATM here just to make this space make sense. And then I've also just put the information points into the other office so that this can also be usable by guests. So it's not just a wasted space, it's just a very well decorated area. So this building here, this office, is essentially a very well decorated ATM according to the game, and then this would be a very well decorated information store, but hey, it's fine. I wanted a little office out the back here, so I'm going to put a photocopier and a computer and stuff. This would be like almost like the admin office for the box office, and then this would also be the thoroughfare between this side and this side as well. So I'll do that shortly, but I wanted to show you this this area. So this is the pre-decoration area that I've started to pull together, and so you can see you've got all of the beams that are coming down, and they're strategically placed according to structural support and how the beams interact with the office behind and everything like that. So and I've made these offset purposely as well. It feels like this would be like a weird shaped office. They've kind of squeezed this in. And if I go back into the menu, so these ones here, these are just your wooden fence that I've used. So there you go, just your wooden fence that you find normally. In fact, it's the same as the business reception. I wanted to keep that theme across. These are, again, all of the just normal screens. These are the TMTK item fans. I love these. These are done really well. And I've used them, I think, in most of the Real Up episodes that I've done. And then these are just your stucco walls. This is just your rough brick wall, so there's nothing unusual there. And then you just got your filing cabinet TMTK items, and then started to fill out the sales areas with your PC and your till. And then I just need to do the same all along here as well. Your countertop is just an art shape, so it's just one of the rectangle art shapes along here. And then coming over to the actual detail area, so your pillar bottom is a TMTK item. It's like a cube that you can find. Obviously your parking machine, parking tickets. Then you've also got a couple of plants that have been taken TMTK. In fact, this is mostly TMTK, let's be honest. Like all of these posters, they're all TMTK. And again, these are beautiful. Like they come in two sizes that I can see, A2 and A4, and these are the A2 ones, and they are so good. Like they just fill space really nicely, and they look good. And then we've got an autosave, which is now starting to already drag down. So you've got some plants, you've got a couple of toys as well that are on there. So if you search for souvenir, you'll find stuff like this, the penguins and the teddy bears and whatever, and the bags. These are your TMTK item letters that I use everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Just some more clutter. This is just your normal panel wall, so there's nothing special there. and then just more clutter, some juice bottles, the keyring stand. Yeah, so there's nothing really out of the ordinary. It's just all about how it's placed. Need to put some bins and things along here. I need to put some more like officey type material and furniture, but I just wanted to show that before I capped it off and before I went too far. And I've also just started to do the toilets as well. I don't want to go OTT with the toilets. I've just downloaded some sinks and some mirrors that I need to put in along these walls. And then I think I'm just going to cap it off, put the floor down, and then be done with it. I don't want to spend too much time on the toilet area because I've got the gift shop left to do, which I haven't even started. But this is going to take a similar format to the box office, and I wanted it to be functional again, so actually have gift shops, and then I also need to integrate it with this as well, and then the locker area. So that's where we're at the moment anyway. So we've got ourselves a nice little box office that looks like that on the outside. So anyway, I'm going to carry on building, and I will see you in the next update. Oh, you just caught me in the toilet. Imagine that. So I've just... It's weird, right? So I've just been spending the last sort of few hours or so finishing off the box office building, starting on the gift shop and the locker area, and also decorating the toilets as well. So I've gone down that traditional male-female split. And there isn't a barrier or anything in this wall at the moment. It's not really needed. They seem to be regulating their own traffic well enough to not. But I've gone down this male-female split. Each one's got different colours, so I've gone for neutral colours in the actual toilet itself. Very minimal decor, really. I didn't want to spend too much time doing too much detail in a toilet. There's a couple of reasons actually. There's not many restroom, toilet kind of things, TMTK items that are available, and it's quite difficult to make these sinks like flush against the wall or panelled in, because we just don't have the kit available to make it flush around here. So I've just kept it really, really nice and simple. Open sinks, mirrors on the wall. I've made these, just it's the snowman pipe and the bracket for the screens and an art shape, and it's just a dryer, isn't it? It does what it needs to do. Put all of the posters that you would see above the dryers, and then just a couple of bins, and then the roofing, the modern roofing that we've used in the office. It felt like that sort of fitted, and I've done the same with the female toilet as well. So there's no real difference. I didn't put urinals in the male toilet or anything. It's there and it's decorated. It's not a utilised area. It's not one that you'd go and see, but I did want to include the detail just because it's important. We are detailing the park, but we also need to recognise where the detail should go, really. So from the outside you can see in this, you probably wouldn't, this would have privacy screens and all sorts going on. So I may even change it actually and put a privacy screen here. I don't know, let me know what you think. Should I bother with that? I guess throw it open to you guys. Looking at the reference images I'm using for Cedar Point and Canada's Wonderland and everything, they don't have screens on these toilets as such. So anyway, enough talk about toilets. I've just finished off this area as well, so I've given it its sort of fascia as well, and just brought together the vending machines and put the awnings and made those consistent in the ticket booth. So I wanted this theme to carry on down this way, and I've also started to use this theming, this modern British building architecture, as everything else that I'm doing. So I'm starting to bring this in. Now I've put skylights in. It's a bit of a vanity thing, really. I had solid ceilings, but then it sort of wasted the idea of putting so much detail into the actual interior if you've actually got to go into it to see it. So it's, like I say, it's a bit of a vanity thing. Hold my hands up to that. So I put skylights in so I can look through and go, ooh, pretty. But actually, it's worked out quite well because it throws the light on the ground quite nicely. This would be an absolute heat box in the summer. Oh, can you imagine? Although it's an open front, it's fine. But yeah, I just put it in, and actually it brings it off quite nicely, and it's now got that real modern feel to it. So it's a bit of an accidental success, really, more than anything. But I'm really pleased with how this has turned out. There's just some real fine details I need to do now that I just need to go along and just make sure that it's cluttered enough to be an office space, and making sure that I'm putting that stuff in, same level of detail. But I'm relatively happy with how this one has turned out. all around, especially from the actual view that you've got here when you're looking in. It's turned out really, really nicely. And then if we carry on through the ticket area, so I'm going to go through the turnstiles, because we don't actually get to do this that often. So I wish I was in Tedgicam, actually. I should have done that, really, shouldn't I? I've started to do the design work on the actual entrance plaza area, so I put the brick down so I know that I want it to be a solid brick to hide some of the gaps and the spacing and everything, and I still need to do the merry-go-round. I know how that's going to go, and I started to put some features in here, so some like plant work features that I know I want, some kind of a curbing and the brick to go up to the curbing and everything. So I started that process, and then I've also finished off this building. So this one decorated pretty much in the same way as the other one. It's going to be right. It's the same shop. It's just split by a wall to stop you from walking through from inside to outside. So yeah, I've put the adverts and everything all along the side. Kept I don't know if this space needs something. I quite like it as blank space, but I just need to do a bit of a how do I feel about it. Does it need anything else adding to it? And then I've used the in-game pieces, the posters and everything along here, but the actual clutter and everything along the desks and along the front desks, they look really quite nice now. Again, it looks as I wanted it to. It looks very sort of shop-like, doesn't it? And I've brought the queue this way as well, and I've done this purposely so that we're not cluttering up this area, and that's partly because this area has to be usable, right? So because they can go down and buy fast passes. So if we put these barriers any further out, it's going to start restricting the guest's ability to walk down to the actual info points. So I've sort of had to work around the game design with that one, and I'm all right with that. Actually, it's worked out quite nicely because essentially your guests would leave probably this way anyway. So I've left a gap this side so that if in real life they were on these registers, tills, whatever you want to call them, they would come down this way and out the door, right? But autosave. But all of the ones along here and along here would probably come down this way and come out this way. So you need the space and you need the gap to do that. So that's what I've started to do, and I've also put these up as well. These are like shutters, but I've also put the runners in as well. So just to make sure that they're consistent, because they would still lock this up at night, even though the park is closed. They would still lock this up because there's still stuff inside that you want to protect. But you wouldn't necessarily need like military grade doors or anything, because people have still got to break in through the turnstiles to actually break in again. So you tend not to worry too much about that. And then, if we come across to the gift shop, so this is now starting to take place, and again, it's the same look and feel as the box office, same colour palette, but just slight design tweaks along here. So I don't know how cluttered I want this to be. So gift shops for theme parks are really interesting because they don't follow your normal retail space kind of ideas. You have really low shelves, and this is for pester power. So you've got kids with you; they're gonna go around. They're gonna be touching things. They're gonna want to buy things. If it's at their eye level, you get that pester power, and you end up selling more. So that's why you have these really low shelves. But then you also have sort of displays of other stuff as well. So I just started to put the t-shirts and different shirts. This is probably way too formal for this area, but I just like this idea of having the shirts folded up underneath so that you could just pick one up. So this is kind of what that's representing. Then I put a load of books, and I also put a load of like stuff just to give a feel for how this would look from a display perspective. And these trims across here, these are awesome. I didn't even know they existed. They're in the vintage pack. So there's no like trickery with this. It's straight out of the vintage pack, and they look awesome. And then all I've done is I've just sunk it down so that you just get the pink and blue. And this now creates a really nice display. And at night as well, these lights light up the area quite nicely. Then I've just got the games still in here, so I just need to put the flooring and everything in. And then I've put the vintage posters just to continue that theme that we've got from the offices, so it brings that across. And this is functional, so we've actually got the shops along here for you to actually go and buy stuff, and then we've just got the queue in place. And again, so that the game actually works, I've been very careful and liberal with the queue. This probably in real life would be way bigger than it actually is, and will probably take up way more space, but because I need guests to do this exact thing they're doing now, to walk through and actually use the shops, I've kept it quite liberal. And then I've started the locker area as well. Probably my least experienced area because we don't tend to use them where we all, especially indoor lockers. All of our lockers tend to be outside and they tend to be coin operated rather than technology operated. And so this is what I'm starting to do. This wouldn't really need much detail, right? It's just a room of lockers. Like, it needs enough detail for it to be believable as a locker room, but you're not going to overly decorate it. You might see a few posters and stuff, but people just go in, chuck their stuff in, and then leave, right? So it's kind of the feeling that I'm going for here. I've put a staff room. Oh, I've put these ATMs in, by the way, to sort of make the area usable, so we're not wasting space. And then these would be like you come to here, you put your locker number and your pin number and whatever, and it unlocks for you. So that's the idea. And then I've also put a staff room at the back here just to make the area usable for staff, so that they can, just like him, hello. It's just staring at a wall. I hate my job. And I've just put the door in. And then this side over here as well, this is the exit to the roof. So it's going to be a concrete area. Started to fence off the area so that you can't fall down the hole, because people will just do stupid things. And then I just need to bring the roof out and then bring the fence out, and it'll be good. And again, I'm using the skylights just because I like how the light throws. So I've put these in place just to give you an idea of what they are, but I've been working with them over here. So anyway, that's the update for this one. It's coming together quite nicely. So I think I also want to do the guest services building, and I might tackle the office, and I might tackle the restaurant if I've got the time. So that's the plan of attack anyway. I'm going to carry on building, and I'll see you for the next update. So I got a little bit carried away with this update. I sort of had to carry on building whilst the inspiration was there, and then I just completely forgot to break and do an update. And so this is going to be quite a big update. And I don't think I'm going to have the time to finish off the rest of the other areas that I wanted to do, the restaurant and everything. I kind of want to put the final touches to this episode, because this is now encroaching into a 4-day build. So you sort of have to chunk it up. And whilst I'm finding my feet with the amount of time it takes me to do all of these kinds of episodes, I think that's going to be the first couple of episodes where I say at the beginning that I want to get stuff done, and I might not by the end of the episode, because I have to be considerate of the length of time between each episode and how many teasers and spoilers I send you guys out. And eventually you're going to lose interest if I just keep teasing you and never actually release the episode. So I need to know when to stop, basically. I need to know when enough is enough. And so I think I'm at that point where I just want to finish off the area, forget the restaurant, forget the staff area that I wanted to do the offices. That'll be in a future episode. So anyway, this update. So I finished off the gift shop, and this is looking mighty fine. So again, thanks to Hydro for these letters on the wall. I think that frames it quite nicely. And I've put the skylights in. So again, it's that vanity thing of why go to all that effort to make it look good if you then can't actually see inside. And so that's what I've done there. I've just sort of finished it off. Loads and loads of shop clutter. I mean, the worst bit about these builds is filling these shelves and making them look like they should be. Did I leave an empty shelf? No, I didn't. I was toying with the idea of deliberately leaving an empty shelf to make it look like it needed restocking, but no, obviously I haven't. Lots of clutter, postcards and posters, and clothes at the back and things hanging. I mean, this gift shop is not cluttered enough. I mean, actual real gift shops would be just full of stuff for you to buy. But think of the piece count on a build like this. This is representative of a shop. It looks alright. And plus, I need it still to be operational. Remember, I need the guests to actually still be able to walk through and do what they need to do. A couple of vending machines then just in the corner just to finish off that area. It needed something in this area. I didn't want to put any more on this wall. It was supposed to be deliberately bare. The queuing system, yeah, it's come together quite nicely. And again, this idea of using the vintage stuff on the walls really came together quite nicely. And put the lights underneath, and it looks really good at night. And you just got the shelves, and then the ceiling, the same ceiling as I did actually over in the annual pass building, and it's got also the similar ceiling in the guest services. It feels like that's like the style of this area. It feels like that would be the architecture. It would all be built about the same time. It's probably had a recent overhaul, relatively modern British buildings. So that's kind of the idea that I was going for. Locker room is also finished then. And again, I didn't want to put too much effort into the locker room because it's just a room of lockers, even to the point of just having the fluorescent lights instead of proper lights. It's just a case of it's a place where you just dump your stuff and off you go. It's a couple of things dotted around just to make the room functional, as you already know from the update, and then I just put a couple of like cluttered adverts and everything around just to break up that space on the wall. But actually, I quite like that this is a dead space. It actually looks more effective as a dead space than it would do if it was ridiculously full, and I wish they didn't walk through that pillar. Then I've also done the toilets, so exactly the same theme as I did on the outside. The toilets follow exactly the same design principles: the stone on the wall, the coloured walls, the trimming around the actual ceiling, and then the ceilings themselves are the ones from TMTK. This is the same office as the office ceiling, actually. Again, not real effort put into this one as such, because it's just a non-functional area, isn't it? The toilets are there, and that's all it needs to do. And this is just making it representative of an actual toilet area. Again, it's turned out quite nicely. It's believable as an actual toilet. Put in a staff gate then. So this is going to eventually be the backstage to a roller coaster. That's going to come in here. So I don't know what it's going to be yet, but this is going to be the access point. And I've also decided I think the backstage will be here as well, because I can put some gates and stuff in here, and this will be a more industrially type backstage area. Maybe that might be the next episode. I kind of want to get a ride done as an episode, actually. I don't know. Thinking on my feet. And then we've got the guest services building as well. So this is now quite nicely come together. Sits nicely on the guest service, on the guest sight line. So you've got the merry-go-round, which I'm going to finish. Guest services is quite obviously there. Toilets and everything hidden down the back. And then you come into the guest services, and it's just an open space. And I said this in the top tips: when you're dealing with guest services, this is typically where angry people are going to come. So this is where you're going to have a lot of very annoyed people. They're going to come and give you feedback. They're going to come and tell you about their day. They're probably anxious because they may have lost a child. They may be injured. So this needs to be a calming environment, and that's why you use sort of like pastel-y colours. You avoid reds wherever possible, because that's just going to aggravate the situation even more. So I've used in this one palatable greens, the gold from the entrance and everything that's come through, pinks and blues. And it's quite a soft palette in here, and it also needs to be an open space. The last thing you want to do is put an annoyed person in a queue, because they will stand there and stew about what they're annoyed about, or stew over it, should I say. And so yeah, you want it to be lovely and open and airy and spacious, because that calms people down. And that's what I've done here. So that's why there's no queue, that's why there's no clutter, that's why there's hardly anything on the back. You don't want to bombard your people when they're already stressed out. You want to have it as open and as relaxing as you possibly can. And so that's what I've done here. Like, so this is deliberately empty, and actually, again, this is another one of those really good negative space feelings. It feels like it should be like that. It's nice. And then in the back, I've just done the office. So again, it's just a standard office. You'd obviously get your wheelchairs and everything from this area, so I've just piled those up. But this would be a bit of a back of house area. You'd have a couple of hot desks maybe along the way. I'll just put the blinds up in the windows. Just office cluttered it out. I don't know if I'm going to put any more in here. Just some more stuff. I don't know, some boxes and whatever, just to decorate it out a little bit more. But I don't think I'm going to do any. I don't think I'm going to do much more to this. I think it's pretty much done. This actually looks quite similar to the office that I work in, so this is kind of where the inspirations come from. And the dividing wall is all along here, just to make sure that you're separating the noise and everything. And then eventually this will come out into the backstage area. So I've just got the door access to nowhere at the moment, but it will come in here. And I quite like the idea of the green and the green and the blue, just giving that. Oh, I need to fill in that actually. Sorry, I do need to do something else then. I need to fill that in. So yeah, and I wanted this again to be an open space. This would be where you'd store things like wheelchairs and like strollers and stuff, right? Prams and whatever. So it's kind of a bit of a juxtaposition with this office space. This wouldn't be a busy office space. This would just be somewhere that someone would come because there's a desk free. And then the last thing I want to do in this area is tidy up. So I need to do some planting all along here. I need to do the merry-go-round. I was going to say Ferris wheel, then that's definitely not that. Merry-go-round, and put all of its fencing up fencing up and everything, and making sure that this area then is good to go. But it's looking really nice. It's very different to episode 1 now. Like now that it's finished from the entrance, you've got all of the stuff that we've done down here, and then we've got the actual entrance itself coming in through the turnstiles. You'd have something here, and you can see guest services over there. Then you can come down this way to the gift shop, or you can go down to lockers and everything. So yeah, it's coming together. The area is coming together really nicely. So I'm going to carry on building anyway, and then the next update will be like the full walkthrough when all of this bit's done, apart from the restaurant and the staff room. So here we go. Alright, so final reveal time, and I've got a bit of a confession to make. So I did all of the detailing and everything of the flowers and everything that I wanted, and then the area didn't look complete, so I thought, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just do the fascia of the burger place, just to get an idea of how it's going to sit on the landscape, and then got carried away. So let's do the reveal, shall we? So here we are at the turnstiles with our Reigate Lake sign as you enter, as you're greeted. You walk through the turnstiles, and then you open up into this area. So I've just put a couple of flowers. Hello, a couple of flowers and everything. Stop it! Stop singing. A couple of flowers and everything down, just to give it a bit of colour and just to give it a bit of form. And I've just used some hedges and everything just to hide the brick on the floor. A couple of trees just to create some shade and some dappling shade, and then put down some benches and bins and everything for actual functionality of the area. And then the merry-go-round itself has had some work done to it, so I didn't want to do a cover for it. I always knew I wanted this to be an open merry-go-round, otherwise it was going to be too familiar to the American parks, and British ones over here tend not to have covers, so I've kept it open. And I've just given it some brightly coloured fencing that matches the... This is a bit of a weird one. It matches both the colours of the merry-go-round and also the colours of the area as well, so they're like different... There are darker tones of the colours I'm already using in this area. And then I've just put some flower beds in front of the actual merry-go-round itself as well, just to create a bit of variation to the area. When it was open brick, it was a bit too stark. It needed something to break it up, so that's what I've done there. I've just layered a couple of flowers in a couple of different colours. And again, they're the colours that you find on the fence, so they complement the actual fence and the area around it. So this now has come together quite nicely. All I've done is I've just continued the brick paving right across everything, so it looks like it's seamless, when in reality you guys already know, because you've seen it, that there's paths and everything that are doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things underneath here. So all I've done is I've just copied it across. Nothing really has changed in here. It's all exactly the same. I've just done a little bit of tweaking work in here, just a bit more cluttery. What I did, I noticed when so I filled in the area that I'd forgotten to fill in. I also noticed as well along the bottom here, it didn't have a what they call a skirting board, and so I've just put that skirting board in just to make sure that it sort of frames off the area nicely, and actually it does. So this contrast, this didn't look right before either. It was just something that wasn't sitting comfortably, but yeah, I've now put that in. It looks good, and this white accent wall actually works quite well in this room now. I didn't want it to be completely blue, and they also say as well, so the one thing that I'm massive on is that blue and green should never be seen without a colour in between, and there's more to that rhyme, I know, and so I've put the colour in between, and it's a grey, because they say it's not supposed to be white. White doesn't count, so I've just made it a grey colour, just to sort of cheat the system a little bit. But yeah, it looks good now. I'm happy with this, how this is going, how this is. It looks very similar to the office that I'm in. So I'm happy with that. But then we come across to the work that I did. Now this is still work in progress, so I will be finishing this in other episodes. But I wanted it to sit on the landscape, and then when it was sitting on the landscape with just the fascia, I then didn't know how the inside was going to look and how the sightline was going to look coming down this path and everything, so I ended up getting a bit carried away. And so I did this sort of American style diner. So if you follow my other pieces of work, you'll already know that every park I seriously build, has a restaurant in it called Berg's, and it's a burger outlet. It's a chain thing. Imagine it across all of the parks. The look and the feel is exactly the same. The buildings look exactly the same. And there's reasons that I go into in other episodes, like the walk around of Cowell Manor and also the Alpha Park as well. I go into the reasons why I do this restaurant. Now all I've done here is I've just updated the look a little bit, knowing that I've now got access to TMTK items and making it look a little bit better. So I've just done this sort of like real cheesy looking American diner style burger outlet. And like I say, it still needs a little bit of work doing to it, which I'll do in another episode. This is just almost not, I don't want to say placeholder, that's not right, just work. And you come inside, and this wall turned out much better than I thought it was. These beams. And so I wanted to leave this gap because otherwise it strobes. So this gap was important for the actual game graphics to not strobe. And then these are just beams, different colours. Again, it's the palette that we use outside. So it's bringing the colours from outside inside into a completely different design of building. So that's very much what I wanted. These people are about to walk through a pillar. Well done. And I wanted this wood effect. So the idea of burgs across all of the parks is it's very wooden, very sort of like Texan burger place style. But I've done some slightly different designs here. There's, I need to fix that. There's like this alcove, so the ceiling is 2 different levels. So I'm continuing this theme from next door, where we've got this almost like 2-tone, almost I-beam effect. Over here we've got different ceiling heights, and they're sort of like seamless ceiling heights. So this is lower than this one. No fans or anything like that because they dangle down too low. And then I wanted this like modern burger thing with these separators, these dividers, bit of neon signage across the top here for burgs. I think I might need to change the colours of these to actually reflect the logo properly. Just a couple of random trinket words across here. There's not enough space and there's nothing available for posters and everything to put along here, so these would ideally be like posters of all sorts of stuff, but we don't have them available big enough, or small enough should I say. So I've just put some trinket words just across here. And then I've just put a service station. I didn't really know what to call it because it's got a bin and it's got all sorts of stuff on here. Just put some like clutter. This would, I imagine, would be leaflets and stuff, but represents, does what it does. The trays that you can use to send back your sausage, your bins, just a bit of like decoration clutter. I've put that in the wrong place, haven't I? But it's fine. And then over here would be your order point. So I need to just do an order here sign at somewhere with all of your screens and everything atop, just like with your menus and everything. So the idea is you just come up and order. Wasn't going to bother with a kitchen or anything like that for this one. I might do it for future restaurants where you have a bit more self-serve or buffet style later on in the park. But no, this was going to be a burger restaurant where you have the kitchen behind. Bit of a seating area, so I've mixed it up. I still needed it to be functional, so you still have to have a certain space between the benches for them to actually work, and then you still need space for the guests to walk through, so this is why this is quite open. And then because of the pathing system underneath, you can't always place actual picnic tables, so what I've done is I've just cluttered it out with some other cafe style seating instead. And then I wanted to keep this wall blank as well because it's so busy with the stripes. I didn't want to break it up with any kind of imagery. It felt like that had to be a feature wall. Then this had to be a different colour, and then this had to be a different colour, and it just breaks up the building slightly. And so that's the what I've gone down, and then just bins and everything placed around. So it's quite simple. It's quite sparse. In real life, this would be packed full of tables. Like you wouldn't be able to move the tables and chairs and stuff. But because of the way that the game works with the picnic benches, you have to have a certain space between them. So that just working with that really it's that trade-off time. And then these pillars, they're made up of a load of beams. And then you've just got the smaller beams along the outside, and then the wooden fence that I've used on the desks elsewhere, just on the front here, and that create that beam. And then these are arch shapes just sunk into the ceiling, so that's nothing really special. And this is looking alright actually. Like I say, it needs a bit more tweaky detail, but I sort of got carried away. I wasn't intending on doing this for this episode anyway, so the next episode will be the final detailing and probably the first rides. So let's take you on a proper tour of everything that we've done this episode, just in case you skipped here. So here's the toilets that we did. Mostly TMTK items, neutrally coloured, a couple of adverts and things, and then some hand dryers that I've created myself, and then just the signs out the front: toilets, male, female, etc. Tidied up all of this area, so this is now a purposeful area that has a reason for being there. We've done the box office, so your annual passes, your hotel reservations and everything, they're all in here. Ticket machines for your parking along the side. Very open, very skylight friendly. Looks quite nice actually. I quite enjoy how this has come together. And then with your desks and lots of clutter, lots of marketing, lots of everything going on in here. And then we come through, past your ticket offices, round through your turnstiles, and then you come into you're almost like your open plaza area. So you're greeted with the Reigate Lake sign. You can go either right into the second annual pass office, which is just decorated in exactly the same way as the first one. Difference being this is usable because you've got fast passes down the back. Or you can go and get something to eat in Bergs, or you can come across to the carousel and have a play on the carousel, queue up to the carousel there. You can come and buy tap from the shop. So there's the tap from the shop, looking all lovely, and again, same setup with the design, modern architecture style. Come across, we've done loads this episode, you know. Come across to your lockers, so you can now see all of your lockers. You can look down. Again, same design principles. And then you just come across to the toilets. So these are just almost a carbon copy of the ones out the front. Slight design, floor plan tweaks, but fundamentally designed exactly the same. Backstage area that will be under construction, that will be for a roller coaster. Your guest services building where people come to whinge at you for any reason, or come to find lost children, or come to hire wheelchairs, those kinds of things. And then your back office there. So guys, that's everything for this. This is pretty much a week's worth of work. You wouldn't believe it, would you? Like, you just wouldn't believe that this has taken a week. You can just throw it together normally, can't you? But it's that idea of super detail. So anyway, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you've really enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. You know, all the usual stuff. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to know when the next episode's coming out. I think the next episode we're going to do our first rides, and I don't know whether it's going to be, and I need to sleep on this, I don't know whether it's going to be a ride on this area or whether it's going to be a roller coaster in this area. So again, I guess I've not started it yet, so let me know in the comments below what you think where we should go next. But like I say, thank you so much for joining. Leave a subscribe if you want to know when the next episode is coming out, and until we speak again, keep yourself safe. I'll speak to you soon.